Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day, and without any ado that is further, let's jump right into it. So everyone right now is claiming or pretending or claiming to know where Bitcoin's price is going to go. And historically, within the cryptocurrency space, the richer you are, the more popular your prediction actually becomes. A Wall Street firm by the name of Bernstein, depends on how you're trying to pronounce that, has announced that they think they know where Bitcoin's price is going to go. And of course, this was one of the most popular things that we've ever had on this planet. Bernstein has projected that Bitcoin is going to hit 200,000 US dollars by 2025, driven by the growth of regulated Bitcoin ETFs and institutional demand. And for the sake of clarity, I saw this on about 12 different websites, easily 12 different websites. And I noticed some confusion in the wording that was never cleared up for me. So as far as I understand it, their projection is that one of three things. Bitcoin is going to be $200,000 by 2025. Bitcoin is going to be $200,000 at the beginning of 2025. And Bitcoin's going to be $200,000 by the end of 2025. I found multiple articles saying that by the end of this year, they're projecting 200K. By the beginning of next year, they're projecting 200K. And by the end of next year. So at some point, the words got all mixed up. But Bernstein has predicted a $200,000 Bitcoin, 2025. They analyzed and have revised their Bitcoin price forecast upwards, attributing their confidence to the anticipated growth of regulated spot Bitcoin ETFs. I assume they've just been looking at the numbers and have been seeing the sheer numbers of accumulation. When you talk about these ETF issuers are going to have between 2 to 3 million Bitcoin by the end of this year, yeah, you should definitely be moving your number upwards, because if you went low, that means you can't count. They foresee influential asset managers like BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, and Fidelity attracting substantial investments over the next few years. As I mentioned before, a lot of people keep focusing on a really weird timeline. We are witnessing these ETFs gobbling up all the Bitcoin that there is or will ever be. A really short-sighted way to look at it is by constantly stating 2024, 2025. Can't knock it. This is the year that we're in and the year that we're going to be in. But a lot of people keep not looking forward. If we're seeing that the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges continues to drop, the accumulation by these levels of these ETFs that we've never seen before is happening now. If they get to 3 million Bitcoin by the end of this year, or even sometime summer 2025, 2027 is going to be even crazier. 2029 is going to be bananas. By the time we get to the year 2035 to 2040, where do you think, how big do you think this market is going to be? So having your forecast, even at 150,000, I think that's the weirdest thing in the entire world. It seems so ridiculously undervalued, but I digress. The report predicts that these regulated investment products could collectively manage around $190 billion worth of Bitcoin by 2025. a significant increase from the current 60 billion US dollars. What's 6 times 3? It's 18. That's 180 billion. They're currently holding 1 million Bitcoin. Multiplied by 3 is the exact numbers that I was saying and have been saying for months. So they've projected the exact same numbers. Analysts see the launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs as a pivotal event, likely to siphon traditional institutional capital into the cryptocurrency market. I mean, just for clarity here, if these people are holding 3 million Bitcoin by the end of this year, you know they're not going to stop buying, right? I would even then assume by the end of 2025, they'd have around 3.5 to 4 million Bitcoin. You're wondering why that number slowed down and isn't 6 million Bitcoin? Because there's not that much Bitcoin left. We just had news that there's around 900,000 Bitcoin left on exchanges. All that Bitcoin isn't liquid. They can't absorb all of it. And even if they did, there would literally then be 0 Bitcoin on exchanges and we'd be at around $195 million per Bitcoin. So, you know, it's just going with basic logic. How people aren't running around in the streets with their arms in the air screaming, I literally don't, I'm not really understanding it. Furthermore, they estimate that these funds could constitute around 7% of the total circulating Bitcoin supply by the end of 2025. Expanding on their bullish outlook, Bernstein analysts suggest that Bitcoin may maintain robust momentum due to the effect of the recent halving event. They anticipate new catalysts, which could substantially boost demand for the cryptocurrency. They said, and I do quote, "We believe Bitcoin has entered a new bull market cycle. The halving reduces natural sell pressure from people who are mining Bitcoin by half or more as people who are mining Bitcoin's inventory more into anticipation." That's not an English sentence. Okay. While new demand drivers emerge, potentially leading to exponential price increases, end quote. Beyond 2025, they project that Bitcoin could reach $1 million per coin by 2033. They forecast that Bitcoin ETFs will account for more than 15% of the total supply of Bitcoin by that time. Yeah, so I am a firm believer that just mathematically, you can't really tell me otherwise. Bitcoin is going to get to $1 million. It's just more of a gigantic when. The projections for $1 million Bitcoin range anywhere from 2028 to now. 2033 is the longest amount of time that we've seen. A lot of people, many of them are kind of clustering around 2029, 2030 for $1 million Bitcoin, but I still firmly believe that we are going to get there, and it's going to be a crazy aha moment for a lot of people. Very, very popular news. It's all over the place. Everyone's talking about it. What have you, so on and so forth. It doesn't not seem unrealistic. I do think 200,000, if they mean the entirety of 2025, it seems incredibly low and unrealistic. But what have you, you know, the market doesn't make a lot of sense because we should probably already be at 200K per coin, but you know, I digress. Is this also one of them? As it's also lightly something else. So that's the Allianz Bernstein AB company talking about where they think Bitcoin's going to be this year, also next year, and in the year 2033. People like the news. And yeah. Let's move on. Also in the newses as well, there's a lot of whale news all the time. This one is more significant than the others, according to the news, because of the sheer volume of it. So we've been getting a lot of, if you remember, 2 weeks ago, somewhere around there, we had news that on the first week of June, the ETFs collectively purchased 2 months worth of Bitcoin. And then even more so, it wasn't even a week. It was from a Monday to Friday, so it was 5 days. They collected 2 months worth of Bitcoin. Everyone still with me? Good. So the other news now, people looking back on chain. On the 11th of June, Bitcoin whales purchased over $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, or 20,600 BTC to be precise. The massive interest was driven by falling Bitcoin prices, pushing whales to bag more of it to profit later. Increased whale activity is a good sign and often associated with asset prices rising soon. This accumulation marks the most Bitcoin purchased since the 28th of February as Bitcoin rallied tremendously towards the $60,000 mark. And here's that number once again. We heard from Santiment that apparently crypto exchanges are now holding less than 942,000 Bitcoin. So the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges continues to drop like really fast, like tens of thousands every single week, if not more. The whale accumulation is still quite heavy and is usually probably going to continue forever. This is the way that bull runs typically go, except for the fact that it's not exactly showing itself in our prices. Because of, the longs and the shorts and the highs and the lows and the futures and the cups and the Bart Simpsons and everything else that people are throwing out there. And the projections of a $1 million Bitcoin continue to be thrown out there because there's literally not a lot left. And we've never had this little Bitcoin up for grabs. And historically, what tends to happen is when prices do pump and go up and Bitcoin goes sky high, this is when we see more like retail investors, people who are just not in the market now, begin to jump in. But as they jump in, they realize that there's not a lot of Bitcoin left, and they could have accumulated over the course of a 2 to 3 year period, and they didn't. And then prices go up and then FOMO happens. But the more these people figure out how to collect and buy all this Bitcoin, especially in taking it off of exchanges without moving prices, we are in for quite a spectacularly weird and dramatic bull run, my friends. Yeah, that's the Bitcoin whales. In one day, purchased $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin. 20,600 BTC to be precise. And yeah, let's move on. There's also still a lot of Litecoin news. The last Litecoin news that we got was that Litecoin has become, people keep saying and I'm like, okay. So basically Litecoin is being used a lot, and a lot of articles keep announcing that it's being used more and more than the week before. And apparently it says Litecoin is experiencing a surge in active addresses, outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum in daily usage, signaling a high interest in the cryptocurrency. The only Litecoin news that we're getting is that Litecoin is being used. So we haven't had any significant news as to Litecoin is being integrated, Litecoin's getting an ETF, Litecoin's being purchased by countries, Litecoin's being mined by... We have none of that. The news is constantly that Litecoin is popular and that Litecoin's being used and that Litecoin has more people using it. And so the news of it outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum in daily usage, I would say grain of salt, but this news is becoming quite popular as it keeps popping up. This is according to analytics from Sentiment. Litecoin has witnessed a remarkable jump in its daily active addresses. The daily active address metric measures the total number of addresses involved in transactions on the Litecoin network each day. So I said it 3 months ago. I feel like something is up, not like a bad up, but something must be happening with this coin. It's impossible for us not to hear any Litecoin news for 2 years, 2.5 years, and now it's in the news once or twice a week about outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum. Do you know how popular and big Bitcoin and Ethereum are? And we're getting no Litecoin news. So I assume something will give at some point. Some news will be released. We'll hear about something. Then I guess the news, the whale accumulation information will make sense at some kind of point. But yeah, Litecoin news, very popular, still floating around. I don't know what more to say. Good job, Litecoin, on being the silent but sneaky blockchain who is apparently outpacing usage of the other major chains as well. That's the Litecoin news. Moving along. I thought this news would have been far more popular, and it was not. Ripple has partnered with the National Bank of the country of Georgia to lead their digital Lari pilot, Lari, L-A-R-I, signaling a transformative era for digital currencies within the country of Georgia. Recent discussions featuring Ripple's Vice President James Wallace and EPAM Systems' Alastair Brown have underscored the pilot program's emphasis on the wrong syllable, on leveraging blockchain to enhance Georgia's financial ecosystem. And this guy's last name is Welfare. Anthony Welfare used social media to highlight the strengthened ties. How do you get that last name? And foresight into the digital Lari project, promising significant advancements in Georgia's economic digitization. For those of you who missed it, Ripple's in the news all the time and has been in the news for a very long time. I would dare go out on a digital limb and say that it is probably exclusively the fault at this point of the US SEC for actually hindering the price of XRP. That is a personal opinion. It's just more of a... Ripple told us last year that they're currently working with dozens of central banks around the world who are looking to digitize. And they've actually chosen Ripple, the company, to help them with their digitization efforts. A lot of the news, and I mean, we haven't had a lot in recent times, but I think 3 countries last year announced that they were going to be creating their central bank digital currencies on top of the XRP ledger. And there was a lot of hype and fanfare. Prices moved up, but similar to all the price movements that we see now, it was short-lived, and people forgot that Ripple, the company, announced that they were working with dozens of countries to create their currencies. So it's always quite spectacular to see like what actually ends up making popular news and what doesn't. This, I assume, also is tying into the news of Ripple making their stablecoin. It looks like, if I don't know, the lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC may soon be ending. I think the SEC is like keeps changing the amount of money that they want and trying to basically barter in some sort of way. We know that Ripple's going to go public, so I'm expecting some major big shabam that's going to take place at some point. I feel like also for Ripple and XRP, it has been nothing but nonstop price suppression. Regardless of how much you like or dislike Ripple and or XRP, they're one of the very few, if not one of 2 companies in the space who's actually doing anything, who actually has crazy partnerships. There's no other company except for the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance that has partnerships like this. Bitcoin is its own ecosystem, what have you. Bitcoin is being adopted because it's the number one coin. It has the first mover advantage. Ethereum has the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. It has tons of companies sitting behind it. Cardano does not have this level of partnerships. They do not have dozens of central banks behind them. Solana is basically meme coin hype. This is all Solana is right now. How anyone's still using it, I understand. I get it. I've seen people talking online that it's a very easy way to make money. You throw your money into some garbage coins, it goes up. You take that money out, you swap it into the next one. It's basically a form of but on the Solana network. So it makes sense that people would do risky things on a terrible database. Tron isn't doing this. What are the other coins that are out there? I can't even remember all the other coins. No one has this level of usage and discussion and also partnerships that Ripple does. So at some point the price will make sense. It just literally kind of has to. Even a lot of the news that gets pushed out right now, these people need help. We know that every month the amount of XRP that Ripple has unlocks from the database, and they're allowed to do with it as they want to because it's theirs, and they're selling a lot of it. And a lot of the news that I keep seeing is constantly talking about that Ripple's selling it onto the market, when we know that they're not. We know that they're selling it to banks and institutions because Ripple has like a report as to like who they're selling to and what they're doing and how they're conducting their business. So it's just a lot of nonsensical hate, and I think we're going to have a very strong repeat of 2017. But so the National Bank of Georgia, they will be working with Ripple. I assume as time goes on, we will only get more information about this. The Ripple company has their literal own like central bank digital currency program. That also runs on top of all their systems. Everything is collateralized to use XRP in some form or fashion. So, yeah, I keep seeing people talking about that they don't like CBDCs, and I'm like, well, we're getting them regardless of however you feel. Keeping in mind that everything is already digitized, so don't like you can stop pretending that we're in like 1982 when you're just figuring out what a credit card is. No, everything's already digital, and these things are going to be rolled out. And you would assume that, kind of playing devil's avocado, you sit there and you go, well, we can't fight against them. Like, we literally can't fight against these, the governments. So at least they're using a cryptocurrency company, and they're using a blockchain, that pushes our network and worlds forward. But yeah, so good job for Ripple. There's a lot of Ripple news that's kind of floating around, but this was the one that kind of stuck out, at least at the moment. That's another central bank partnership news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in popular news, another company, another NASDAQ listed manufacturer called Semler Scientific, which made headlines last month for buying Bitcoin, has purchased another $17 million worth of Bitcoin. Can you imagine? And I'm asking, can you imagine waking up in the morning and being like, I think I'm going to buy $17 million worth of Bitcoin? That has to be a very particular kind of feeling. Purchase another $17 million, and they may try to raise another $150 million to buy more. Yes, MicroStrategy was back in the news. They're trying to get another $500 million to buy more Bitcoin. We had news of another company who I think they bought 110 Bitcoin. I think that's what it was. These companies, this news is coming out every single day. The significant part is that we keep hearing that the most important thing is just the ETFs, just the ETFs, just the ETFs, just the. It is like, okay, it's getting kind of daunting at this point. If I remember correctly, I believe you need around $30 million to buy up the entire, think of that, $30 million to buy up the entire daily mined supply of Bitcoin. This one company bought more than half of the entire mined Bitcoin supply in one day, and they're trying to raise another $150 million to essentially buy up 5 days in one go. The firm's latest Bitcoin purchase was revealed in an S-3 filing to the US SEC on the 6th of June. After making its first 581 Bitcoin purchased on the 28th of May, they now hold 828 BTC, worth over 58.5 million US dollars, they said. It underscores our view that Bitcoin is a compelling investment and can serve as a reliable store of value. We will continue to pursue our strategy of purchasing Bitcoin with cash, end quote. Yes. So cool. This keeps happening. It will continue happening. And at I'll say it until it happens. People will realize and people will pay attention and everyone will come together and hold hands in kumbaya and go, wait. So when they bought 5 days, that means, okay, cool. I get it. Holding 820, first of all, holding an entire Bitcoin is mathematically impossible for every human on the planet, and it's impossible for every millionaire on the planet, and it's even more impossibler for every billionaire on the planet. They're literally they've taken 828 Bitcoin off of the table for the world, and essentially 828 millionaires and billionaires will never, ever be able to have an entire Bitcoin because of this company. Not to mention that they're trying to buy over 1,000 more in the coming days? Question mark? So yeah, Bitcoin continues to become rarer and rarer, and it's only going to get worse as Bitcoin's price goes up. Because you see it's rare already, and if we're talking about companies are talking about $1 million Bitcoin, even if it took us 9 years to get to $1 million Bitcoin, this company will have, was that 17x their money. And then the crazy part is guess what? Bitcoin still continues because you then have another 100 years of mining Bitcoin and halvings and Bitcoin becoming more rare. And the more Bitcoin's price goes up, especially comparative to other assets which keep losing value to Bitcoin, these people are then not even remotely incentivized to sell any of their Bitcoin or even sell an entire Bitcoin. This is what people keep missing out on. Satoshis keep coming. They're getting more and more expensive per Satoshi. So the more Satoshis you hold, the more Bitcoin's price goes up, the richer you become in the future. And this will continue for the next 120 years. So just making sure that everyone understands that. I keep I keep telling my friends to buy crypto and to buy as many assets as they can, because we are currently, and we're slipping more into a world where the only rich people are the ones who hold the assets. And if you see that there's one asset that rich people keep talking about is going to $1 million, that's clear as crystal day. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for this video. Companies keep buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin is becoming rarer. Whales keep buying it. There's more Bitcoin being taken off of cryptocurrency exchanges. And I would also just like to lightly throw out there, I'm going to assume that Allianz Bernstein is probably also holding a lot of Bitcoin as well. And anyone out there, because that's, you normally as a company don't release information like that because, it's fun for you. You do it as a way to be like, hey, we need to get more of that stuff. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See